What's up, guys? Welcome back to our channel. This is David from WEAREGROWTHHACK, and I'm here with a special guest, my good friend Greg from Empire Flipper. How you doing?
Good, man. I was just telling you offline, a bit tired. I had one of those nights up to 6 a.m. on meetings. But I'm glad to be here. Hopefully, I'll add value to your audience.
Oh my God, 6 a.m. meetings. Why?
Yeah.
How can you have meetings so early? Where are you right now?
Well, it wasn't so early. It was just like so late. But because I'm in Bangkok, right? Like you're in Thailand, I'm in Thailand, so I work
Yeah.
USA hours. But sometimes I have stuff like this with people actually in Thailand, so it's just this endless cycle.
Yeah, so you've had meetings until 6 a.m., right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, oh my God. I'm terrible with that. I think at 7 or 8 or 9 p.m., my brain stops working. Sometimes I need to nap in between and then I can have another meeting. And I need
I,
my coffee in between.
I'm about to go. I'm going to go get a coffee after this. But yeah, anytime I have a meeting, like, oh, I have a meeting at 11 a.m. I guess it's like going to be a 15-hour day. Because I always think like I would take a break in between, but then I never do. Like, oh, dang, I totally forgot.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And Bangkok life is quite good, actually, if you're working remotely.
Yeah.
I'm in Phuket, but I'm going to come to visit you in Bangkok, definitely. And you came here in Phuket. It was like 2 months ago, 1 month ago?
Yeah, about 2 months ago. Yeah, Thailand and Southeast Asia in general is great as a digital nomad. Thailand is especially just a super great place to be.
Yeah. So, Greg, marketing director at Empire Flippers. How did you end up doing this amazing job? And tell us a little bit of what's going on with Empire Flippers.
Sure. So, yeah, like you said, I'm the head of marketing at Empire Flippers. If your audience doesn't know what we do, we are the largest curated marketplace in the world for buying and selling online businesses. So, marketplace is a bit of a misnomer. We're more of an M&A firm nowadays than a marketplace. We just position ourselves that way. As of, I think it's 2 months, we passed a pretty huge milestone, which is over $5 billion in verified liquidity in our buyer
Wow.
network. So that makes us, I would wager, have the largest buyer network in the entire industry at this point, considering every aggregator under the sun shops with us. In fact, every now and then I get new aggregators reaching out to me, desperately wanting to like work with us, like, give us that exposure because they're like looking for private deal flow, all that kind of stuff. So that's what we do at EF. It's been a crazy ride because I've been with EF for almost 6 years now, and I was employee number 4, and now we are over 100 employees.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's
like
amazing.
back in the day, it was like $150,000 business was a huge business. I would remember our CEO telling me like, "Oh, great! Once you get to this level, the sales process is just totally different. You have to like, it takes all this extra skill." And now, as of like last week, we listed a $30 million Amazon FBA business. So
Damn.
times have changed.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. 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 Can you tell us a little bit more? What kind of seller was it? We want to know a little bit of secret sauce here. What kind of products they sell?
Sure. I can't talk about the actual product or niche, obviously, but I can say something that's quite interesting you don't see very often about this is they have a ton of products, tons of SKUs, as you might imagine, with a $30 million asking price. But their main focus wasn't on marketing at all, weirdly enough. It was on logistics. So the way they buy their inventory and do their supply chain is one of the major reasons why they were able to grow so fast and to charge very little in a lot of cases for their products that other competitors wouldn't be able to do.
That's super interesting because, when we talk about, how to better position yourself on Amazon, you can't actually do nothing if you don't have stock. And this is a big issue. And we're working now on a piece that we're going to release maybe in a few days or next week about the predictions and the trend for 2022. And this is something really interesting. And one of the main issues is the supply chain. So I think that the real game changer as of today, because there's not much you can do really with marketing anymore. You can't manipulate anything. Amazon's going to catch your legs. It's the supply chain. Once you figure out the supply chain, boom, you have a very big competitive advantage on all of your competitors here.
Well, I can't go into too much detail with our own secret sauce, right? I'm sworn to secrecy, but yeah, I agree with you. I think inventory is extremely important. I mean, obviously, if you don't have inventory, you don't have a product, you don't have a business as an e-commerce seller, right? And I think it's especially important on Amazon that you don't stock out because it's not like a DTC e-commerce store where you stock out and that sucks. You have to turn off your ad campaigns, or like with your own Shopify store. Like when you're on Amazon, you stock out, you lose rank, right?
Yeah.
Your organic ranking goes down, and it's hard to recover because it's hyper competitive. So
Yeah.
that's a nightmare for a lot of sellers, right? Is they're always on that hamster wheel. So yes, I agree with you. Supply chain, if you understand supply chain, especially in this environment, you are operating with a very strong and unique advantage that most people don't have.
That's great. And I think this is a very good advice. We can't disclose a lot here, protected by NDA and everything, but we can definitely tell you, pay extra attention to your supply chain, to your inventory. Always make sure that you are in stock. Don't get out of stock. It's terrible. It's worse than having a very badly optimized listing. I mean, ideally you should have a good listing, but if you run out of stock, nobody's going to find you, and Amazon's going to penalize you, and even more now. So let's get back a little bit about Empire Flipper. You guys sell pretty much, you facilitate buying and selling e-commerce businesses. Is it any kind of businesses, and or of course also Amazon businesses? What kind of weight has got right now Amazon FBA businesses into your overall marketplace?
Sure. So with Amazon FBA being so insanely popular right now, people think that we are a Amazon FBA broker only, or sometimes they think we're an Amazon aggregator, which we're definitely not, right? Yeah. We're a business broker. Our incentives are totally different than an aggregator, which is helpful for a seller. It's like our incentives is to actually get you the best deal possible versus you getting the worst deal possible, which is the aggregator's goal because they want to buy you cheap, right? Yeah. But yeah, so like we actually sell a lot more than just Amazon FBA. So we sell content businesses, we sell SaaS businesses, we sell your traditional DDC commerce businesses, we sold apps, merch by Amazon. One business model that's very strange that we've sold actually quite a few seven-figure businesses of. I don't think any other broker has even touched this business model before. Is the Kindle publishing company. So these are like modern day KDP businesses or modern day publishing houses, more or less, just on KDP that we sold. We just sold one recently for like 1.4 million, I think. But to answer the other part of your question, FBA obviously makes up a large portion of our marketplace, right? Though not as large as some people might think. I think in 2021, it made up 34% of our revenue, which obviously very significant in terms of deal flow. But we're diversified, right? So that's one of the benefits of my business is like whatever becomes the darling of the day, we can sell it, right?
Yeah, of course. We are all selling ourselves. It doesn't matter what we really sell. And getting into this, I want to say that something that we see happening in 2022 is actually Amazon FBA sellers trying to diversify, not only selling on Amazon. You have to survive in this big jungle, and if Amazon isn't your thing, you probably should look into something else. But we'll talk about that in a different video, I think. Greg, so looking at the future, you said that 2021 Amazon businesses were something like 34% of your total, income revenue. What about your prediction for 2022? Is Amazon going to be a larger part?
I think so, actually. I mean, we got that $30 million business listed, right? Okay. That's our first, not our first. We sold a few 8-figure businesses, but that's our biggest one that we've ever had. Our other 8-figure businesses that we sold were more like the $11 to $14 million range. So this is a significant jump up. And, working at EF for 6 years, almost 6 years, there's a thing that happens with brokerages, at least with ours, where when you're trying to reach a new price threshold, is like a chicken and egg problem. Like which one comes first, right? Like our first $1 million deal, like a seller with $1 million business doesn't want to sell with a broker who's never sold $1 million business, right? So how does the broker do it? Well, usually how it happens is there is a bold risk taker of an entrepreneur who trusts you enough to do something absolutely crazy and sell this first 7-figure business with you. And that first one always takes forever. Like our first 7-figure business took us 8 months to sell. And I remember, and like at the time, the type of businesses we were selling were like $150,000, $200,000 businesses, right? Not even close to $1 million. Yeah. So like I remember our main sales guy saying, "There's no way we're ever going to sell this." We just don't have the buyers for it, right? But we did end up selling. It took forever. It was a beast. And now, like, I have a friend, he listed on our marketplace a few weeks ago, or I guess a few months ago at this point. he had $1 million business and we sold it in 24 hours full cash, like not even an earn out, right? It's just like, and that wasn't even FBA, that was a content site business, which that's even more rare to do in that way. But yeah, so times have changed. So now in last year, we sold our first 10 million plus businesses. And now I think we've sold three 8-figure businesses. So because we've gone through that threshold, now other 8-figure sellers are like, oh, okay, well, they've done this before then.
Yeah.
Okay, I trust them, right? So that's why I think this is going to grow significantly, because we've broken through that 8-figure threshold. And now we already have that $30 million deal. That's, knock on wood, but that looks like that deal is going to sell relatively soon here the next couple of months. Obviously, it's a bigger deal, so it's going to take longer. But so this is all great news. So I do think we're going to see one, more FBA businesses on our marketplace, and 2 bigger ones, much bigger than probably people I've ever seen before.
I think you said it correctly. It's building trust with your audience, with your potential customers. And, you have this everywhere. Like, we actually made our jump as an agency. I mean, we were quite lucky already, because I was directly coming from sellers such as Sun Valley Tech, that in 2016, when I left China and then I moved in Hong Kong, 2017, opened my agency. They were huge, top 5 globally, or top 10. Anyway, huge seller. It was natural to switch from Sun Valley Tech to Aoki, that is at a pretty similar level. And then from Aoki, getting the top sellers from Europe, because this is the kind of proof that the client is looking for. Same thing with the seller. So do you actually see employer flippers moving into, this kind of bigger fishes only? You don't accept sellers who are doing less than 7 figures a year, or do you have a threshold?
No, not at all.
Okay.
So this is so funny. That's your perception. Because when I first joined EF, the perception was that we would only ever sell small businesses, and in fact that our multiples were only going to be 20x of monthly EBITDA, and that's it. And that was completely wrong at that time. We wanted bigger businesses, but people thought like, oh no, you just go for small businesses. And now fast forward to today, people think we don't even sell small businesses, but that's not true at all. Like, we just listed like 4 or 5 businesses that were in the range of between $50,000 and $150,000. And we like, the reason why people think we don't sell them is because they usually go so quick. Like, so you don't see them on the marketplace.
Yeah.
Like, those are often gone sometimes within hours. Someone, a buyer has a really good due diligence checklist. They are just going through at lightning speed because they want to beat the other person who also has that due diligence checklist. They're like, all right, use my credit on file. Buyers will send us actual money for us to hold in our bank account, so that they can make an instant purchase before another wire beats them, right? So this has created like this interesting perspective where we don't sell smaller businesses, but we totally do.
That's super cool. So, it's like grocery shopping. What do you need today? You need eggs and chicken and milk. Oh, there's this, $600,000 business. Let me buy it.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah. So like our big thing is like, we want to be there for entrepreneurs at all stages, right? And now we're growing at the top end and we're learning, right? That like our 8-figure businesses are still relatively new for us. We're not like the best expert in the world of this, probably. Whoa, actually we might be, but we like, it's still a new category for us, right? So we're still learning how to be better for that seller, but we are there for entrepreneurs at every stage. And like we talked about not selling smaller businesses. Obviously bigger ones move the needle, right? But at the end of the day, like one of our big things, both from a marketing perspective and just a core like value, is to be able to help an entrepreneur to make a truly life-changing exit. And even a 50K exit, I mean, that seems like nothing to a 7-figure seller, but I can tell you that is sometimes insanely meaningful wealth for someone in the West. Or like we've had people in Southeast Asia, like we had a Cambodian seller sell a site for about $75,000. Like that is amazing money for that Cambodian guy, right? That changed his life forever. So that's why we still want to sell those smaller businesses, even though they're not super profitable for us. It's just like part of our value, right?
I love what you guys are doing here, and getting to these life-changing deals. I remember you telling me, it was a couple of months ago when we met in Phuket again, every 11 days you're making an Amazon seller a millionaire. Is that still true?
Oh, 11.3 days, David.
Okay.
I wish it was 11. We're getting it down.
Yeah, now we're shorting it to 10 probably.
Yeah, that is still true. 11.3 days, we're making a millionaire, through an actual exit. So,
Wow.
I don't see that necessarily slowing down. Like, it might change a little bit, right? Because my business is very lumpy, so you can't look at normal trends and think like, oh, this is the new normal, right? Like, you'll sell like a $30 million deal, and then
Oh yeah.
maybe not have another one for a bit, right?
Yeah, definitely. It goes up and down. It's business. It's
Right.
not. We're not on a salary here. We're doing business
Right.
here,
Yeah.
right?
You start at zero every month, right?
That's great. So, what do you see? How do you see this business evolving in 2022? Do you actually? I have this question because Empire Flippers, you guys work with pretty much most of the aggregators, and there are so many aggregators right now. It's like
Yeah.
around, I don't know, 100 aggregators. It's a 15 billion US dollar market cap. This business right now, and we see the numbers growing. Do you agree with the prediction that a lot of experts are saying that a lot of the aggregators will be weeded out, and we will have the survival of the strongest here? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's probably true. I mean, whenever you have, something like this, we're in the gold rush phase as far as the aggregator business model goes. But now aggregators are starting to get a lot harder to be profitable. One, valuations have gone way up. Amazon FBA entrepreneurs in particular are some of the savvier entrepreneurs when it comes to exiting, because they're getting hit up so much by aggregators, right? There's strong aggregator fatigue. Like, sometimes we will talk to we'll talk to a seller like, oh, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to an aggregator. I'm like, well, we're not an aggregator. Like, what do you mean? What are you? Like, what, business broker? What? That's a thing. And then they get excited again about selling the business because we represent them, right? So I think aggregators in general will find some major challenges. Probably not right away in 2022, but I think definitely in the mid of 2022, like maybe third quarter or even fourth quarter. I think we're going to start seeing some of these aggregators either die off completely, and people will come and buy, whatever profit is left there of the corpse, or that we're going to see aggregators realize. This is not like a total attack on aggregators. I get where they're coming from, but like a lot of them, they have this mindset that business is a spreadsheet because they're coming from like some high finance background, like the Wharton Business School or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe they were at some private equity where it's all spreadsheets all day long.
Yeah.
And they start realizing after they acquired millions of dollars of businesses, like there's a lot more to this than filling a spreadsheet, right?
Welcome to the Amazon world.
Right, yeah, so they learned this like brutal reality at a very painful, expensive lesson. So what they'll do is they'll sell off like the brands that they're not operating very well to, say, another aggregator or to a random ultra high net worth individual. And then they will take that money to focus on their easy winners that they had. And that's the way they're going to sell their ship. And that part we've actually seen happen a couple of times already. So I do think a lot of aggregators will probably die out, but the really smart ones, they're going to survive. And the super smart ones, they're already diversifying away from Amazon. They, like, if you talk to some of the OG aggregators, they actually hate being called an aggregator. They don't like it. They prefer to be called, something like, they're more like a brand aggregator than an FBA aggregator. They don't even like the term aggregator though. They're building brands,
Exactly. Brand super house here.
Yeah. They want to be the next Procter and Gamble.
Right? I don't want to name any names here, whether it's positive or negative, but some of these aggregators, our agency works with some of the largest aggregators. Their payoff is we build brands. So I love this approach, all for the brands. So
yeah,
I really like this, and I see that a lot of things are happening, like aggregators, smaller aggregators selling some of their brands to another aggregator that can probably do a better job because, that's a non-profitable part of the business, and profit is number one in this business, just profit. What I wanted to say is this, that I was talking with a friend of mine recently, and he got this amazing opportunity working for a new aggregator, a very small aggregator. And small, we're talking about 50 million US dollars here. They just raised, and they're new. And it was asking me, David, do you think I should, make this jump, move back to this other city, start working, office hours? Because right now I'm a digital nomad. I love my job. I love what I do, but they give me a big opportunity. There's going to be equities. But this aggregator, So how should I consider this? And I told him, just to make it short, I told him, look at this aggregator, look at how much money they're making, and see if you try to forecast if they're going to be able to compete with the largest aggregators in the future. Like, are they going to survive or not? And he told me, yeah, that's a very good idea, but I actually think that what they want to do is to make a good business and sell the business to another aggregator. So you not only have Amazon sellers specifically from this year starting their Amazon business to sell it to the aggregators, but you also have aggregators starting this business to sell everything to another larger aggregator. That's insane.
So that's funny you mentioned that. So there's another aggregator. I won't mention their name, but they've told us that, like, yeah, so we failed at being an aggregator, so now we do this. And they switch all their funding over to from buying businesses to lending on acquisitions and stuff like that, which is really interesting, actually, really fascinating, because there's not a very good financing available in my industry, right? It's like usually all seller financing, and hopefully you get lucky with the seller that's flexible typically. So this is interesting. That came out of a failed aggregator shop where they, for whatever reason, couldn't get the deal flow, couldn't get that. Maybe they weren't very good at operations, right? I mean, if you're operating a finance business is much more like a spreadsheet, right? But, so like it's a bit of an advantage. But yeah, so you like when I say aggregators are going to fail, that to me is 100% true. But that doesn't mean like there aren't going to become innovations out of it, like what you're saying or what this company did with financing, right? Entrepreneurs in general are very scrappy, and the owners of aggregators are entrepreneurs, right? They're bootstrapped or not bootstrapped because they raise a bunch of money, but they are entrepreneurs. So I think that we'll see them pivot and do some pretty interesting things in 2022 for the ones that don't make the original thesis work.
Yeah, that's super, super interesting. You know, what we are seeing, what we are foreseeing that is going to happen in 2022 is going to be a bloodbath. And I'm really excited. You know, for us, we are directly working with the aggregators now. You know, working with brands that belong to aggregators makes like 90%, 80 to 90% of our businesses. You know, and it's also harder to find the actual Amazon FBA seller as it was like 4 years ago. And if you build a foundation, good foundations of a profitable business, then you can, you know, sell it to an aggregator or even make it larger. Greg, as we are almost running out of time here, we always keep our videos super short. What is the best advice? You know, you can name one or two or three, you know, that you would like to give to the sellers today, you know, who are trying to sell their business, who are trying to get their business ready to sell it in this year.
Sure. So I'll give this advice just because I think it's the most insidious thing to avoid. And it does, this is going to make me sound super self-promotional, but I do not mean it in this way. You can use this advice, whether you use us or a different broker or whatever, right? It doesn't have to be us. But the advice I would give to any seller looking to sell right now, one, this is the best seller's market I've ever seen in almost 6 years. There's never been a better opportunity to sell your business for a truly life-changing exit, right? But with that said, you need to be very careful of what I call the off-market fallacy, because buyers will use this against you, and it's going to sound so obviously true, but trust me, if you go down the surface level deep, it is really bad for you typically. You can come out okay with it, but usually sellers are going to lose money for it. And the off-market fallacy is basically, hey, I don't want to pay a commission to a broker. I could send an email to an aggregator. I can go on Market Pulse and get the list of aggregators myself and just do it that way. And yes, you can. You totally 100% can do that. But the issue that you're going to run into is selling a business for you is probably a highlight event. Like you probably have never done it, or maybe you've done it like once a few years ago, right? So you are already at a significant disadvantage because an aggregator, it's not a highlight event for them. That's their business, is buying businesses. And these guys, they're not coming from like the traditional entrepreneur background. They're coming from high finance M&A backgrounds. These people are super savvy.
They will eat you alive. They will literally eat you alive.
Yes. So what happens here is the seller says like, okay, I don't want to pay a commission. I'm going to do it myself. And then the aggregator is like, of course, that makes total sense. You should definitely not do that. Let me help you out. Here, I'm going to give you $1.4 million if you accept my offer within 3 days. How about that? And so you as the seller, like, holy shit, this is easy. Like, this is amazing. And then you feel all the pressure, like, oh my God, like 3 days to say yes. So what the aggregator is doing here is they're using what your listeners have probably used in their own marketing, which is urgency and scarcity, right? You have one offer that is going to be like a limited time offer to pressure you into moving. And they've also validated your like dislike of paying a broker commission, right? So this is a very powerful thing. And aggregators do this. They want you to buy into this myth of the off-market fallacy because they get a better deal. The only reason why an aggregator builds private deal flow at all is because they can get better deals. It's a lot more work for them in terms of marketing, in terms of due diligence, to make sure it's legitimate, all that kind of stuff. Is a lot more work for them. But for the seller on the other end, they often have no clue what their valuation is. And why would they? They don't sell a business every day. Like, that's not something an entrepreneur usually does. So this is a big thing. And like my advice is to either use a broker that's reputable, that's sold businesses like yourself, or find a friend who has sold hopefully several businesses to get you on the right track. And just to end this with a palatable story here, we had a guy, he had a $1.4 million offer from an aggregator. And same thing, he had like 3 days to say yes, super pressured. He reaches out to us. We look at his business. We say, look, man, we think we can get you a lot more. So he comes over to us. A few weeks later, we sell that business for $2.1 million, wow. $1.8 million up front, bigger than his initial offer, right? Like just the earnout or just the upfront amount, right? And this is because we make them compete and we know what you're valued at. So this is a big reason to just be careful. If you're going to sell your business, especially if you're going to sell privately, it's very easy to fall into these kind of traps.
And just to clarify, even including your commission, he already got a lot of money. And we're talking about hundreds of thousands of US dollars here. Yeah.
Right. So like at 1.4 million, he's like, oh, I don't want to pay a commission. But now he's paying us a much bigger commission with 2.1 million, right? But he ends up walking away with more money in his pocket. So who won, right? Like that's the goal at the end of the day.
Yeah. Once again, profit.
Right.
The money you keep in your pocket, not the money you see passing through your bank account.
Yeah.
Right? People have to understand
this. Fees mean nothing if you walk away with more money.
Exactly. Greg, this was really good. Thank you so much. This is like golden nuggets because I've interviewed already a lot of service providers, but no one unveiled the ugly truth here in this creative way as you've done. It's amazing. It's really good. Guys, remember to, give a like to this video. Check the channel of Greg at Empire Flippers. What's the name of your channel?
It's just youtube.com/Empire Flippers. So you can see me rant about online business, M&A, and marketing, my passions.
That's amazing. And I love to see the videos of Greg. He's super happy all the time, goes to these amazing places. I should start doing the same, So guys, remember to give us a like, comment, get in touch with Greg. We will leave the email and the website of Empire Flipper. Subscribe to our channel. We have a lot of people that are watching our videos and not subscribed. So remember to do that. Subscribe also to Empire Flipper channel. And Greg, thank you so much. And I'll see you at the next episode.
Yeah, thank you. Glad to be here.